According to the CDC, evidence indicates that young adults aged 20 to 24 are more susceptible to contracting STIs than any other age group. These outcomes are of significant concern. If left untreated, STIs can cause serious health consequences, especially for women, including pelvic inflammatory disease, ectopic pregnancy, and infertility. As alarming as this sounds, it is prevalent in my research that I will discuss later that college students are not nearly as educated on their sexual health as they should be and where they should get proper care. Sex education is not being taught abstinence only, but instead giving students a comprehensive overview of their sexual health. Having this knowledge can not only help students make informed decisions about their sexual health, but can also inform others about things that they should know. I am Giada Cannelloni, and I'm a senior undergraduate student on Mount Union's campus. So what is comprehensive sex education? So I'm going to give a little background and definition on what this is. So this is not being told wait till marriage or having an abstinence-only program which tells you, again, to wait till marriage. It's being informed on how to use protection, how to obtain birth control and emergency contraceptions, what STIs look like, how to get treated for one, sexual abuse, relationship violence, how to have a shame-free sexual health experience, just to be open and honest about what the true meaning behind sexual education is. So in high school, I didn't get taught any of this. I was, just taught how does a woman get pregnant and that we should all wait till marriage. So a study according to Planned Parenthood showed that teens who receive comprehensive sex education are actually 50% less likely to get pregnant than students who are taught the abstinence-only program. So the abstinence-only program kind of instills fear into students. This is everything that will happen if you engage in sexual activity, and it kind of tries to fear them away from it, but instead makes students more curious and unaware of their sexual health. So one student from a study that was conducted by Naomi Cheek on the Eastern Kentucky University's campus, so she stated that she thinks she had a 10-minute talk about it in school, and it was from her male gym teacher who kind of just briefly talked about it for a few minutes and then they never talked about it again. And then another student stated that she remembers having a video shown to them that was actually a Catholic TED Talk, and it was just a lady talking about how bad STDs are and that the best way not to get an STD is to not have one. So again, this is instilling fear into students. So who is my community? So my community is the female undergraduate college students, specifically on Mount Union's campus. And I took a little look on how many females we actually have here at Mount Union according to the academic year 2021 to 2022. This was on Mount Union's institutional effectiveness website, and there's actually 910 females compared to 956 males. So what does this community value? So first and foremost, we value our sexual health. So a study by Naomi Cheek on the Eastern Kentucky University concluded that many students were not satisfied with the sex education they received from their parents, friends, school, and the media. So one student talked about how she felt uncomfortable talking to her parents. She said, "My parents just kind of pretended like it's something that doesn't exist, and I didn't get educated on it until I was older." So a lot of students turn to their parents and or guardians because they're not receiving this sex education in school and, again, receiving inadequate sexual education. And then another participant in this study stated that she couldn't really find campus resources for her sexual health. So she said she didn't really feel satisfied because she didn't know any of them and the information is not really advertised, and that she thinks sexual education is very important and that it should be advertised more on college campuses. And then academic success. So we're female college students coming to a university for the first time. We're here to get our degree. We're here to succeed academically. And again, in this study, there was 276 screening tests performed by the student health, and 51 of these tests came back positive for chlamydia or gonorrhea, which was a 10 to 15% increase from STIs the previous year. So these STIs can cause infertility. They can cause an increase in the likelihood of developing certain cancers for females, and this can affect one's health and quality of life. So by this affecting your health, it is interfering with your academic success, and you're not, focused on succeeding in your academics. And then safe environments. We are female college students. We value a safe environment. We, value being able to go places by ourselves, being respected. So we value, just being in a safe area. And then problems this community faces. So first, the lack of sexual health knowledge. So a study that was published in 2019 was done by Naomi Cheek with female college students ages 18 to 24 on Eastern Kentucky University's campus. So these participants expressed that they thought sex education should be a requirement in college because they knew many students, including themselves, did not fully receive a great learning experience about sex, and that incoming college students need to receive this early on in their careers so they're more educated and can make more informed decisions later on. And then unplanned pregnancies and STIs. So according to Skelly, who actually evaluated research about college female sexual health, she states that alarmingly over half of the reported unintended pregnancies in the United States are occurring in the college-age populations, and many do not fully understand or have misconceptions about emergency contraception options. So we don't know where to get them, how to afford them, and things of that nature. And then also according to the National Library of Medicine, which is a National Center for Biotechnology Information, states that sexually transmitted infections are the most common infectious disease in the United States. So this is very, very, very prevalent, especially in college-age females, and it is a huge problem that we face. And then last, sexual and relationship violence. So again, according to Skelly, nearly 20% of college females reported having experienced sexual assault. So this is a high number, and it's a huge problem that we are facing, and it continues to increase. So I just want to briefly touch on COVID-19's impact on this issue that we are already facing. So all this information came from the CDC, and because we were told to stay at home, STIs went unreported. There was reduced screening clinics because none of them were open or they were shut down, so no one could get tested, and they went and spread, or they just had it for a while. Limited resources, so everything kind of went to COVID. All the doctors, nurses, that was the important issue. And so STIs, there was nothing really given to them. Social distancing did help in, helping with the STI epidemic. So it was limiting new sexual partners. So no one was going out because we were in quarantine. So people were more likely to not have new sexual partners. Chlamydia did decrease by 13% during COVID, which you may be thinking is good news, but it usually doesn't have any symptoms. So a lot of these infections went undiagnosed because people were at home and didn't think that they had anything. But after 2020, gonorrhea was actually increased by 10%, and syphilis was increased by 7%. So it was even more prevalent than ever. And then effects on high school. So before the pandemic, sex education, again, was already inconsistent, non-inclusive to certain groups of people, and it was medically wrong. They weren't teaching us the right information. So COVID only made these flaws worse. According to Katie Fletcher, some schools actually abandoned sex education altogether. Others turned to putting this online, which students during the pandemic are not going to be engaged in sexual health classes online. So it kind of took a turn for the worst. So how does literacy relate to this problem? So the wicked problem being the overall lack of comprehensive sexual health knowledge and education for female students. So how can literacy help this? So the first being sexual health services. So Christine Cassidy did a study with 6 focus groups, including 56 undergraduate students ages 18 to 25. So student participants identified their lack of knowledge and awareness of sexual health services, particularly during their first year of their undergraduate studies. So they, were thrown all this information at once, being new at college, and everything was thrown at them at the same time, and they could not remember where services are, how to access them. The second being sexual education programs. So, we're required to have sexual assault classes that we take before we come to school and alcohol awareness classes, but never a sexual health, format for this. So 2 ladies that actually work at the Texas Christian University agreed that student populations in college would benefit from having a sexual education program. A lack of education regarding sexually transmitted infections and the involvement of alcohol during these activities were voiced as 2 contributing factors to STIs. Mrs. Arlene stated students who were diagnosed with an STI didn't know where it came from or how they contracted it, which could be a problem and could be combated with sexual education. So what are the limits of raising literacy? So healthcare provider interaction. So there was a student who stated that he had a bad experience with a particular doctor, and if he went back and on that particular day that doctor was there or he didn't know who was there, he would not go. So having a bad interaction with the health center or a specific doctor makes you not want to use those services. And then the second barrier being peer influence, stigma, privacy, and confidentiality. So some students describe the stigma relating to accessing these services, being discomfort of seeing other students at the clinic. You're already uncomfortable going, you're nervous, and then you go there and you see other students, and then it makes you less likely to go use those services. And then the third barrier being the accessibility of services. So some students stated that they had classes when the health center was open and they could not even utilize these resources even if they knew where they are. So potential solutions, so the first being a sexual health class. So incoming college students would have an in-person sexual health class their first semester of college with follow-up online classes every semester after that to refresh their memory and teach them new things so they're always making informed decisions about their sexual health. The second solution being integrating Cura Health into Mount Union. This does not mean getting rid of our health center. This is just an addition. So what is it? It's a virtual women's clinic, and it offers healthcare via a smartphone app. So it's available 24/7, 365 days a year. So it is available anytime you need it, and they offer gynecologist services and other female-related health services. It is already available to some colleges and universities. They're already using it, and it could help eliminate seeing students at the clinic or the, not being able to go to the service because of other conflicts. And then the third solution would be distributing sexual health resources on campus. So Megan Smith actually wrote an article on ways that colleges are distributing sexual health products. And they actually are doing a subscription service in which students can request condoms, dental dams, lubes, and other products to be delivered to their houses with unmarked envelopes, so it is confidential, it is private, and they can receive these free of charge. There's also an emergency contraception vending machine at the Boston University with generic Plan B in it, so they actually have already sold 1,000 pills of this generic Plan B at $7.25, which originally it is sold for $50, so college students are, saving over $40, and it's convenient to them already on campus. So some roadblocks to my potential solutions. So sexual health classes, students might not take it seriously, especially moving into the online classes after the first semester. They may not be engaged and might think it's dumb and not really, get anything out of it. My second one being Cura Health. So financial expenses of buying these services, Mount Union has to pay to, have these services available to us students, so it might be a financial burden. Also, I believe some services still need to be done in person if someone needs to be physically examined and they cannot do that via a smartphone. That might be a problem. And then my third solution would be distributing sexual health products on campus. So getting this approved by Mount Union, these would be distributed all over campus or even being sent through mail to these students. So it would have to be, approved by them. And would it be approved? Would it not? That is one problem. And then also funding it. This would cost money. Do we have the funds to be able to fund this? While I've discussed potential solutions for the sexual health crisis female college students are facing, there's always barriers to putting these solutions into place. For another undergraduate student's opinion, what do you think about the problems and potential solutions I've discussed? Did any of this resonate with you? Have you experienced any of these problems yourself as a college student? If you answered yes to any of these, I hope my speech gave you some insight into this wicked problem and how we can help to solve it. The more this topic is talked about, the more closer we are to solving the sexual health crisis female undergraduate college students face. Thank you.